this video. Before I start chatting about this piece, I'm going to chat a bit about my 2021 goals and a bit of a 2020 retrospective, and just chat more about the pieces in this video. So I hope you enjoy. So a couple of years ago I got more into art and more into developing my style outside of just doing photography. And 2020, whilst it wasn't a particularly good year, it did give me more time to focus on developing my art and developing my style and practicing more. What this did mean, unfortunately, though, was that I put a lot more pressure on myself to improve because I had this time and I meant to be using it properly and achieving so much more, which isn't quite how these things work. What I do have, though, are the art goals I set for myself at the beginning of 2020 based on the work I'd already done before, everything in 2020 happened. So I can kind of objectively look at that and see how I improved, what goals I managed to achieve, and what goalposts ended up changing based on the work I naturally did throughout 2020. So first one, and top of the list, was to get better at eyes. And I can definitely say I practiced it, but I didn't actually get better. Well, no, I will have got better because I practiced, but I am not where I want to be with eyes. I kind of think once I get to a point that I'm happy with the eyes I draw and the style I have for people and their faces, I will be a lot happier with my art and will feel more comfortable expanding in other avenues. Second on the list was to draw more varied faces, because all I could basically draw was a variation of my own face. And I can actually quite confidently say I have gotten better at drawing different types of faces. So that is a goal I achieved. Woohoo! I've just checked the footage and we're about to move on. So I was doing swatches of my Japanese watercolours from Choose and Keeping, and I'm about to go outside for a walk before starting on the actual painting. What I'm actually painting is one of my Christmas presents, which is a house made out of driftwood by the artist Nicola Furbisher. I saw it in a shop and I hinted very heavily at my housemate that I wanted it, and he got the hint, which was good of him. And I loved it so much, and I loved the watercolours, and I thought they paired together would actually make a really nice piece. So I decided to paint it, and I actually really liked doing it. And a little behind the scenes, I actually really rushed this first wash because as I started painting, it started snowing outside, and I was like, oh man, we're not going to get any more snow than this. I need to film it now. Little did I know it was going to snow way more later, but I just thought that you might find that amusing. So next on my 2020 goals was confidence and 2-point perspective, which then changed to maybe draw a 2-point perspective piece that makes technical sense. And I still didn't do that because 2-point perspective is terrifying. No, that did not happen. So that one has been moved to this year, and we'll see what happens. One of my goals was to learn gouache, and I did. And it's one of my favourite mediums now, so that's a big old win. Another goal I ticked off was to do more finished pieces, so basically more pieces outside of the sketchbook and on paper, and fully rendered designs and art pieces, and I did do that, so yay! Another goal for the year was to draw buildings from the imagination, which I didn't do, but for me the goalpost moved for that one because what I wanted to do was actually get more confident in just drawing buildings overall, so I'm not too upset that I didn't actually tick that one off. Another goal was anatomy studies, which is just going to move forward to this year. There's no real excuse, I just didn't really do it all that much. I did do it occasionally, but not enough for me to actually gain anything from it. Another big goal of the year was to learn to mix colours, and yeah, I did. And it was a very difficult time because the gouache I have is the Artesia gouache, which has 64 colours in it. And it is so hard to actually mix colours when you just have the very colour you want sitting right there, or the closest approximation to the colour you want. And it's just so tempting. But I would try and do pieces where I only use one palette, and would force myself to mix colours, and what it meant was I just learned so much more about colour theory, and I was able to get more colours that I actually wanted rather than just coping with the colours that I had presented to me in watercolour sets or my artesian gouache, for example. Before I talk about my final few goals, I do want to talk about using Japanese watercolours and painting this piece. So I saw them like way back on a YouTube video and I was just very curious about them. I heard that they were a nice mixture between watercolour and gouache, and I was like, oh, well, those are my mediums, so let's give these a try. And honestly, yeah, I love using them because they have the blending properties you want from watercolour, but also that kind of opaqueness and layering quality you can get from gouache. And the colours provided are absolutely gorgeous, and I'm really keen to keep painting with these. So hopefully you've been introduced to them, and if you are interested in them, you can get them from a shop called Choose and Keeping, which I will have linked in the description. My final two goals for 2020 are two quite simple ones. One was design some enamel pins, which I didn't do, but I moved the goalpost to design some stickers. And I did do that, and I'll be talking more about that later in the video. The second one was to get back into pencil crayons, and I did, and I got some nice pencil crayons and I really enjoy using them. And so what we have here is the stuff from my Heikala art box. I was able to purchase this because of the support I receive on Ko-fi, and Ko-fi supporters actually have a video where they see me unboxing it for the first time. I'm not going to talk about this piece too much because I want to do a Ko-fi exclusive video where I talk about my experiences using the supplies, but I will say that I really wanted to get this box because I really wanted to try out inks, because as much as I love watercolour and gouache, they are very blendy. Is the best way to put. No, they're very lifty and blendy. Can you tell I went to art school? And I struggle to get glazes with them sometimes and doing line art with them, because when you put watercolour or gouache over the top of them, they'll just lift and mix in with each other, which isn't always what I want. I want some nice crisp colours. So I finally purchased this box, which has other supplies Heikala uses, and I really enjoyed it, and I will be doing another video, like I say, which is just for Ko-fi supporters, where I have more art pieces and I talk about my experiences using them. And if you would like to see that, then I will have a link to my Ko-fi in the description, where you can support me for as little as buying me a cup of tea, or you can support me monthly, and any level of supporter will have access to this video. And I hope you enjoyed that musical time lapse. As we're coming to the end of this piece, I thought I'd chat a little bit about my experiences using ink and how I feel about it doing a fully rendered piece, which is Very much the same as I felt the first time I did a fully rendered piece with gouache, which is, wow, this medium is cool. I can't wait till I actually know how to actually use it. Yeah, like, I don't hate this piece, it's absolutely fine, but I can't wait to actually understand how to get the best out of ink. And hopefully you'll be along for that journey as well. So the next day I did my piece for the December ScrawlrBox. This involved water-soluble crayons, which I wasn't too interested in, like, they're fine. What I did love though was that we had some smooth watercolour paper. I'm not entirely sure if it was hot pressed or not, but it is there for using pencils, and I forgot how much I love drawing on smooth paper, because all I do is draw on watercolour paper now, and I forgot just how nice it feels sometimes. The challenge was about expressive emotions, and I ended up doing a very simple self-portrait. But what I wanted to do with the colours we had and sort of the medium of crayons was actually to show some of the points of pressure I get on myself. And actually what I quite like is the time lapse itself kind of shows the progression of what it can be. Like, I look quite normal to begin with, and then I just get steadily more aggressive looking, and then I get all these lines on myself, which is actually where like a lot of my points of pain can be. And yeah, it was a very simple interpretation of the challenge, but heck, I quite like it, I don't mind it. Because of my insistence of aesthetic silence and let the music do the talking, I've given myself barely any time to talk about my 2021 goals. They are essentially have less goals because I had way too many in 2020, finish the projects I started in 2020, and to set up a shop, which is where the sticker designs came in, because that is probably the first thing I'm going to release outside of a few prints. Oh god, I have 5 seconds left. Bye, Happy New Year, y'all rock.